Hi newbies, Nurse Ruthie here, and welcome to the Newbie Nurse Podcast. If you're new to this podcast, welcome. The Newbie Nurse Podcast was developed for you, for newbie nurses, to help transition in this crazy nursing world. On today's podcast, we're going to talk about how to manage workplace violence. Yes, manage. Because unfortunately, it's an occupational hazard. Depending when you're watching this, you've probably noticed in the news a lot of violence in hospitals. There's several examples. It's heartbreaking and unfortunately it's unpredictable. This is why you must prepare yourself. I'm not trying to scare anyone. I'm just trying to prepare you because this is the reality. There was a viral TikTok that was actually sent to me and it inspired me to actually do this video because it is the reality. The guy on the video was talking about how he's like, did you know nurses have to take a self-defense class? And it's so funny because I've taken that in the past and I'm like, wow, this is wild. I wonder if like bakers at like Publix have to do something like this. Like people will not believe that we have to actually train to defend ourselves, or actually not even defend ourselves because we can't hit the patient. What is the actual definition of workplace violence? You read the definition. This is from a article named Workplace Violence Against Nurses, a narrative review, and I'll attach it. It says workplace violence is any harmful act, physical, sexual, or psychological, committed against the nurses in a workplace by a patient or visitor. Most important point out of this whole podcast is I need you to understand something. Take all threats seriously. All of them. Patients and their family, usually when they're in the hospital, like this is unexpected. They didn't expect to be there. You know, they have certain responsibility. They have animals at home. They think this bill is going to be $1 billion and they don't have enough money. Or if someone dies or they feel like it's your fault, they're gonna pass it on to you. Once you start getting the vibe, like, look, like this person's about to flip out, you know, like they're staring at you, they're staring you down, they're argumentative, throwing things. Sometimes they're mumbling under their breath. They may be under the influence of whatever, or maybe they got dementia. You know that the majority of the assault cases are on a geriatric floor. I was super shocked to see that, but I couldn't understand. You want to de-escalate. You don't want to make things worse. Don't egg them on. Don't let your ego get to you and you guys are like bickering back and forth. Your facility may have a quote gray, or you may just have to call security. You just have to make sure that, you know, you call a lot of staff members so they can see. I mean, you don't want to intimidate them. It's best to have witnesses there. If you have not been trained yet, ask your coworkers or your employer about CPI. You want to look up your protocol, your policies to see what the steps are, because in some facilities, if you don't follow the steps in the protocol, you might get in a lot of trouble. You might even lose your job. I have heard of situations where they were protecting a nurse or someone else and they put their hands on the patient the wrong way and they were fired, unfortunately. It is sad to say that I actually have a hiding place. If there was like a mass shooter or I had to run or something, I know where I'm going to hide, you know, and that's scary. I hold my keys in my pockets. I always have my cell phone on me. Like you have to be prepared because you're never going to know. You never know what's going to happen, when it's going to happen. Even when you're in a patient's room, you know, don't block yourself in. You know, don't have your back to them. Don't wear your stethoscope around your neck. You know, even your badge reel, they could take that and just put it right around your neck. You know, we don't want to think like this, but unfortunately, you have to. It happens. I once met this travel nurse who said he worked in and he said it was like the most dangerous place ever. He said that the nurses carried. He said that there were like special lockers for the nurses to put their weapon in. He even said there was a resident that was killed in the lobby. He was getting money out of the ATM and someone shot him and killed him. It's crazy. So if you notice your patient's getting agitated, you know, reason with them, listen to them, treat them like a human being. You know, sometimes you just have to vent. Think about times that maybe in the past that you've been upset. You know, you have the ability to leave, they feel like they can't. So they lose a lot of their autonomy being in the hospital. Be understanding, try to accommodate. But if it becomes unsafe, call security, call your coworkers, leave them alone in the room. As a new grad nurse, I was not trained. I had no idea people did this. I had patients kick me. I had a patient kick me in the chest. I had a man kick me as well. I've been cursed out several times. At first I used to take it personally, but now I don't at all. I know it's part of the healing process. I know that sounds really stupid, but it's true. There's other factors, but it still does not excuse violence at all. I am pro reporter. I will report. I will call the police. Thankfully, I have never gone through something so terrible that I had to, and I don't want to jinx it, but I will call the police. And in Florida, it's actually a felony to assault a healthcare provider. I usually manage a patient that's like cursing at me. I'll either if I don't feel safe, I'll just leave the room, or I will just let them vent and stay silent and just let them talk and say what they have to say. Usually they will maybe apologize or just stop and realize, that they are being aggressive. If they start cursing at me, I will ask them, please do not curse at me. I will also let them know that I feel uncomfortable caring for them in this condition with them yelling at me. Sometimes they will check themselves. But most of the time I'll just leave the room because I'm not going to put myself in harm's way. When someone's angry, there's no convincing them otherwise. You have to let them cool off. Just be sure to have your coworkers back. And what I mean by that is if you start noticing that your coworker is getting agitated and they're starting to bicker back and forth, just grab your coworker, say, let's go. That's enough. Let's go. End it here. Let's go. I'll take over their care, switch providers. Because you never know. Maybe that patient thinks that nurse looks like their granddaughter that they can't stand, and they want to take everything out on that granddaughter or on that nurse. So be a buddy and, say, hey, let's go take a break. Let's go take a walk. So in this article that I'll be linking, it states possible causes of workplace violence: understaffing, increased stress within employees, demanding job duty, prolonged wait times. 63% of the ED violence occurs in the waiting room. Newbies, if you are working someplace where you're constantly getting yelled at or you feel for your life, do not work there anymore. Do not work there, because that's just the tip of the iceberg. Do you really think that if something went down, that facility is going to protect you? So you have to think about yourself. That's a good thing to ask when you get hired. What kind of security measures does your facility have? Here in Florida, they just passed a right to carry law. So you don't even need a concealed weapons license to carry. So, hey, I'm all about it, whatever. But that makes me feel like there's way more guns out there now. In the interview process, ask what type of security measures does this facility have? Do you have metal detectors? Do you search bags? How do you handle irate patients? These are important things. Like, are you going to have the backup, especially if you work in psych? At my facility, they just added metal detectors, and I can tell you, I feel like the amount of patients that in the past have been very vocal and rude and yelling and threatening has reduced tremendously, because as soon as they walk through the doors, boom, there's a metal detector, there's an armed guard, they are searching your bags. From what I understand, they're getting signage stating basically that you cannot verbally abuse the staff. They search all the patients, even the ones that come in via ambulance, and you'll be surprised who, Granny, 100 years old, is carrying a screwdriver under her dress. You'd be surprised. Especially like if she's got dementia, she doesn't know if like you're here to help her or she's gonna attack you. You never know. PTSD is real. And sometimes when individuals are under sedatives or who knows, certain drugs, they have a bad reaction, all of a sudden they're back in the war zone. And these are highly trained individuals. And you don't want to get in their way, and that could be a scary point. If a patient threatens you, write it in their chart. Describe exactly what they said, because who knows, 5 years from now, they figure out where you live and they come creeping through your door. That's premeditated. You have to have some kind of proof. You might not even remember, if possible, on your license. I don't put my home address under my provider license. I put the facility that I work at's address. So otherwise, when you have to renew, usually it would send you like a postcard stating time to renew, but it will send it to the facility instead. Be sure to walk to your car with someone else. Ask security, ask a coworker, because you never know. There's been a lot of staff that have been killed, murdered, robbed. There recently was someone at University of South Florida parking lot that was robbed and killed, very sadly. And when patients ask me what shift I work, man, I tell them all kind of shifts because I don't know their intentions. I don't know if at 7 o'clock they're going to be sitting outside waiting for me by my car, watching my schedule. I'm paranoid like that sometimes. You can never be too safe, right? So thank each and every one of you, and you, in the back, you, for supporting the Newbie Nurse Podcast. Remember, treat people how you want to be treated, because what you put into this world is what you're going to get out of it. Have a great day.